Game 4. The scenario here indicates that we have a floating grouping game. There are 3 groups, the recycling centers 1, 2, and 3, and we have 5 things to split up between them. Each center has to do at least 2 and no more than 3. So already from the beginning we know that we have to use at least one of our items more than once, because if there are 3 centers and 2 spaces a center, that's 6 spaces total. And we could have more, because there could be up to 9 spaces if all 3 centers did 3 things. The information that we have so far is enough for us to build the basic framework of slots, make 3 groups, put 2 slots into each because that's all you know is going to be in each, and put a note off to the side that says that you have a maximum of 3 slots per center, and of course put your roster down of G, N, P, T, and W. Now proceed on to the rules. The first rule is a conditional rule, so write both it and its contrapositive. If a center does W, it has to do N as well, which means that if it doesn't do N, it won't be able to do W. The best place to put that is in shorthand off to the side because it won't affect the spaces directly. The next rule is also a conditional rule, but this time it's about the slots and the centers. Basically, anything that center 2 does, center 1 also has to do. So with this rule, write it and its contrapositive. So if it's in 2, it's definitely in 1. If it's not in 1, it is not allowed to be in 2. Now be careful. This rule does allow for center 1 to do things that center 2 doesn't, but since center 2 is going to do 2 things, center 1 will have to do those same 2 things. So if center 1 is going to do something that center 2 doesn't, it would have to get an extra slot. There'd have to be 3 slots in 1 for it to do something that center 2 doesn't. Rule 3. So rule 3 is a 2-part rule. The first part says that only one recycling center recycles plastic. So note that over the plastic, that you only get one of those. Now this would allow for an immediate deduction. If you only get one plastic, that means that center 2 can't do plastic, because if center 2 were doing plastic, center 1 would have to do it as well, and that would be 2 plastics. Now the second half of the rule is an if-then statement. So if plastic is recycled somewhere, glass can't be. The contrapositive of that would be if glass is recycled, then plastic can't be. You can't do both glass and plastic, but you could do neither glass nor plastic. If these conditional rules informing the contrapositive is a little rusty or shaky, take a look at the lessons that we have elsewhere in the course on conditional reasoning. Now there aren't a lot of deductions that we can make beyond the deduction about P not being in 2. And if you look over at the questions, you can see that most of them are if questions, so local questions that are going to introduce a new condition and require a new sketch. So we probably don't need to do anything else with the master sketch. This will be enough to carry us on. So now on to the questions. The best question order here is probably to do 18 first, skip 19, go to 20, 21, 22, and 23, and double back for 19. That is, you always want to do your solution questions first, then move on to the local questions, then double back to get the global questions or other weird types of questions.